I got some of it.
Be careful.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. Can you go back?
To the beginning?
Yeah.
Do you want to sit back here at the edge of the table, and you can rest your elbows so you don't have to hold it up all the time?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Do I need to restart?
What did you get?
I pinned the room.
Okay. No, just start. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. My name is Michelle Anderson, and I'm going to talk to you about why we need community gardens. I don't know what you guys do when you get your paycheck, but if you're like me, you pay bills, you fill up your gas tank, you cover any weird random miscellaneous expenses, and then you use what's left to buy groceries for the pay period. I'm blessed in that I can usually buy whatever I want, but other people may end up with carts full of processed foods because they can't afford to buy the fresh foods. Growing up, I remember that someone in my family always had a garden. We would go out and help them plant and weed the garden, and when it came time to harvest, I remember canning blackberries and tomatoes with my mom and grandma. As an adult, I had several small gardens, and while we couldn't eat exclusively from them, we were always able to throw something in a salad or saute up some zucchini. Community gardens provide low-cost produce to our neighbors, and they also create closer-knit communities. They make our communities healthier. I'm going to tell you why we need these and how they benefit us and our neighbors. First of all, there's the rising cost of food. It seems like every time I go into the grocery store, the prices are higher, and I grab a few bags of groceries and I end up spending $100. And for some families, this means that they're ending up with more processed foods and less of the healthier fruits and vegetables. According to the USDA's Food Price Outlook, they predict a 2 to 3% rise in the cost of food in 2015. Among the hardest hit areas in cost in 2014 included fruits and vegetables, while the processed food prices are a lot more stable. Another thing to consider is space. Not everyone has space to grow their own garden. We live in a densely populated area. I see that every morning when I'm driving in that. Last year, the population of Cobb County was estimated to be 730,000, according to the U.S. Census Bureau's website. With a land area of 340 square miles, that's over 2,100 people per square mile. That leads to lots of apartment complexes and densely packed neighborhoods with small yards. Even if you do have space, a lot of times you don't have the correct soil or light to grow a garden. Even if we're not affected by these things directly, how many of you really know your neighbors? And I mean more than just a casual wave as you're getting in your car to leave. A lot of us don't really have a reason to interact with them more than that. So we can see from these things the rising costs, the dwindling green space, and the lack of relationships with our neighbors that we could really benefit from more community gardens. And so now that we see the problem, what's the solution? We can support gardens like this one. Support ones that already exist and try to help organize new ones. And this will increase access to produce for low-income families especially. And according to Biru Yang in the article, Evaluation of a Health Department-Sponsored Community Garden in Houston, over half the participants in the community said that they were able to eat more vegetables now that they were growing in the garden. Another article entitled Community Garden Project Helps Increase Latino Children's Access to Healthy Food and Saves Family Money. Dina Castro says that 90% of families saved money because they did not need to buy produce in stores. We can also convert spaces that might otherwise be non-functional. Some examples of this include rooftop gardens, gardening in the spaces below power lines, and we can build box gardens like this between buildings. And these are all suggested in a web article entitled Community Gardens and Sustainable Land Use Planning by Shauna Irvine. We can also convert spaces like this that are run down into spaces like this, where we're able to grow things and the space becomes useful again. And this has a positive effect on our neighborhoods and the home values. But what about building healthier communities? Young and old alike are able to work together on these projects and learn together. Bureau Yang's article that we mentioned earlier points out that this is a great opportunity for cross-cultural and social interactions that might not otherwise happen. None of these things are out of reach if we all pitch in. But what would the result be? We all like to save money where we can, but imagine how important this is to a family that's struggling to get food on the table, let alone healthy, fresh produce. And this really lifts some of the burden on their budgets. Imagine how functional and beautiful these gardens would make our community if we put them in neglected spaces, like this garden was. And think of how nice it would be to have meaningful, mutually beneficial relationships with the people that we live close to. Now that we see why we need these gardens and how beautiful they are, we need to act. What will we do? We need more of these gardens. And we need to support movements that are looking to create spaces like this for public use. They help feed our neighbors. They improve the health of the community, physically and emotionally. And it gives us a pretty area to look at in spaces that are heavily populated and sometimes neglected. By doing this, we improve the quality of life and ease financial difficulties. Building community gardens builds better communities.